Lately, it feels like every single day there's a new AI video generator being released. There are literally dozens of them online, and it can be impossible to pick out the best one, or even one that's actually worth your money. So after getting disappointed by yet another AI video generator, I decided to test them all, because I wanted to know which of these tools actually deliver, and which ones should never be used. In this video, I'm testing 16 of the most popular AI video generators side by side, using the exact same prompt and ranking them from worst to best. The tool I'm using to rank all these AI video generators is called OpenArt, and the reason I'm using it is because it lets me access all of them in one simple workflow. I don't have to go out there and buy a bunch of separate subscriptions just to test each model, which honestly makes this whole process way easier. So with that being said, we're going to start off by testing the Kling family, which has become one of the most popular and consistent AI video generator lineups out there. The newest version, Kling 2.5, is known for its movie-like movement, high realism, and surprisingly affordable price. I'm already in the prompt field for Kling 2.5, and the prompt I'm using for all of them goes like this. A young Marine officer stands on the deck of a wooden sailing ship under bright midday sun, overlooking a calm turquoise sea. White sails billow gently in the warm breeze, seagulls circle overhead, light reflecting off the water. Camera slowly tracks around him from a low angle to a mid-shot, warm golden sunlight, crisp photographic realism, cinematic wide shot. I decided to go with this prompt because it basically includes all the main things you'd want to get from your video generator: realism, nice textures, and just an overall pleasant outcome. So I'm just going to go with 10 seconds for this prompt right here, then I'll click create, and let's take a look. And this came out looking stunning. The realism here is spot on. Our character looks super realistic, and the seagulls look great too. When you add in the fact that it's one of the cheapest options out there, I've got to rate Kling 2.5 as S tier. Next, we have Kling 2.1, which was the flagship model before Kling 2.5 came out. First, I'm going to switch to 2.1, which is really easy to do in OpenArt. Then I'm going to just click create, and let's take a look. Even though you can spot a few small differences, like slightly weaker realism and a bit more color saturation, it still does a really good job overall. Because it costs nearly 4 times as much as Kling 2.5, I'm placing this one in the B tier. And finally, we're testing the oldest one in the lineup, Kling 1.6. This model's been around for a while, and you can tell from the interface, it's even got some odd toggles, like creativity level. I'll bump that up and click create. Let's see what it can do. And as you can already see, the results just don't hold up. I honestly can't even tell what's happening in this generation. There are glimpses of what I asked for, but overall it's just not as good as the other ones. So this is one of those models I would definitely skip, and I'm putting this one in F tier. For the next tool, I'm going to be testing out Seedance. Seedance is less known than Kling, but still a good AI video generator that was built for creating multi-shot videos. And while it used to be pretty competitive, it's fallen off a bit over time. But I still wanted to see how it holds up today. I'm going with the Pro version here, maxing out all the settings, clicking create, and let's see what we get. Seedance actually manages to surprise here because the result looks really good. The only problem I have though is the seagulls flying in the background. It doesn't look as realistic as it did with Kling. Aside from that, everything looks really good. The textures, the lighting, the color grading, and it rendered really fast too. So for that reason, I'm placing Seedance in A tier. Now we're really bringing out the big guns, because the next one we're testing is Sora 2 by OpenAI. Sora 2 is one of the newest and most advanced models out right now, known for its incredible realism, smooth motion, and even integrated audio and dialogue support. It's a high-end model that costs quite a bit per generation, but the results usually speak for themselves. I'm running this at its highest settings to really see what it can do. And it looks stunning. The built-in sound adds a ton of immersion, especially with how the surroundings move, and the way our marine looks around is really well done. It really stands out above everything else we've tested so far, so I'm putting Sora 2 in S tier. Now let's move on to the Wan family of models. Wan is a Chinese-made model, known for focusing heavily on realism and fluid motion, and there are 3 versions currently available: Wan 2.1, Wan 2.2, and Wan 2.5. Each version's meant to be better than the one before it, so I'm curious to see how much it's actually improved. I started off with Wan 2.1, which is one of the older versions. The generation came out surprisingly good, the realism's there, the motion feels natural, and the lighting stays consistent across the water and deck. It's definitely not the most advanced in terms of detail, but for being an older version, it holds up better than expected. I'd actually place Wan 2.1 in B tier, because it gave me a very solid result. Next, I tested Wan 2.2, which was supposed to be the upgrade, but for some reason, the output just didn't look right. The motion feels a bit laggy, and the realism's worse than the previous version. It actually feels like a step back. Because of how inconsistent and laggy the result looks, this one unfortunately has to go into F tier. Finally, I tested WAN 2.5, which is the newest model in the lineup. This one immediately looks far better. The colors are cleaner, the motion is smoother, and it even has integrated audio built in, which really adds a lot of immersion and realism to the whole scene. The sound of the water and the wind in the background gives it an entirely different level of depth, and just to give you a perspective on this, as you can now see on the screen, it easily beats all the other WAN models. I'm putting WAN 2.5 in A tier, mostly because of the added audio and the solid overall quality of the generation. Next, we're going to take a look at the Google Veo lineup. These models are known for their cinematic tone, strong motion control, and consistently realistic lighting. We'll start with one of the older versions, Veo 2, and then move on to Veo 3 and the latest release, Veo 3.1, to see how much has changed. Starting off with Veo 2, the result actually looks good, especially considering how old this model is. The movement's actually really solid, and it already looks better than a few of the weaker ones we tried, like WAN 2.2. But the textures on everything make it look a bit too AI, which takes away from the realism. It's a decent result overall, but compared to what's available now, it's just not on the same level. I'm putting Veo 2 in C tier. Moving on to Veo 3, I kept all the settings at the highest possible level and ran the same prompt. The generation came out really well. The video quality is sharp, the motion is smooth, and the lighting feels cinematic. It's a clear improvement from the older version. Everything looks great, the motion, the effects, the colors, but we've still got one more to try out. Finally, I ran a generation for Veo 3.1, which is Google's newest model. This one really stands out. The sound design in 3.1 sells the immersion a lot better than 3.0. The audio of the sea and the seagulls sounds much more natural, and the added environmental detail makes a huge difference. The realism, motion, and lighting are all a noticeable step up. So for that reason, I'm placing Veo 3.1 in S tier and Veo 3 in A tier. Now let's test out all three of the high-low models. We've got Minimax High-Low 2, the brand new Minimax High-Low 2.3, and High-Low Standard. They're all made for realistic motion and smooth textures, and all of them are in OpenArt. So starting off with Minimax High-Low, I set it to 6 seconds and 1080p. This one's not as pricey as some of the others we've tested, which already gives it a bit of an advantage. I scheduled High-Low Standard too, just to compare them side by side. The High-Low Standard model definitely came out looking the worst. The textures feel flat, and the lighting doesn't really hold up compared to any of the newer models we've seen. Because of that, I'm immediately placing High-Low Standard in F tier. On the other hand, Minimax High-Low 2 looks much better. It feels realistic, with solid texture detail on the character and the water. But there are still a few things that don't look right. The sky in the background looks off, and the motion in the water doesn't quite match the rest of the scene. So while it's definitely usable, it's not quite at the top level. I'm putting Minimax High-Low in B tier. Now High-Low 2.3 is one of the newest generators we're testing today. In the upgrade, they made major improvements in movement, realism, and physics. So this will be an exciting one to test. I'm pasting in the same prompt, setting it to 6 seconds, turning the resolution up to 1080p, and clicking create. And this one really stands out. It looks the best out of all the other Halo models. It's not perfect, and it's still a step below the top generators like Sora 2 or Veo 3.1, but for what it costs and how smooth it looks, I'm ranking High-Low 2.3 in A tier. Next, I tested out Pixverse 5. This one's a standalone model that isn't part of a bigger group of models, but it's been getting a lot of attention for its balance between price and quality. I set the generation to 5 seconds and 1080p, then clicked create. This one really surprised me with how good it looks. It's not a generator I use often, but I've gotta say, I was really impressed by how realistic everything turned out. The movement is smooth, the lighting feels natural, and the overall textures and color tones look great. But since it is just not as good as the S tier models, I'm placing Pixverse 5 in A tier. Alright, now let's test out the final two contenders, VidoQ1 and Hunyuan. VidoQ1 is actually a model aimed at very quick and stylized outputs, meaning you get pretty good results really fast. Let's take a look at it first. There aren't a lot of settings you can play around with here, so I'm just going to click generate and let's see what we get. After generating for only about 30 seconds, this is the result we get back. And it's actually pretty surprising, especially considering it almost didn't spend any time generating. It's not perfect, there's not a lot happening in the video, and it looks more like a static image with a bit of movement added, but all the textures look good, and the person in the video itself looks surprisingly solid. So overall, this is a really impressive result, and for that reason, I'm placing VideoQ1 in B tier. Now Hunyuan. This is a hybrid model that supports both real and virtual styles, as well as animated ones, so it'll be pretty interesting to see how it handles our prompt. I'm running everything with the same settings and clicking create. Before we look at the result, I just want to mention that this model was one of the slowest ones by far. Kling 2.5 and Veo 3.1 finished about 2 minutes faster than this one, so that's definitely something it's gonna lose points for. But with that being said, let's take a look at the actual video. Honestly, it didn't load great, especially with how long it took. The result overall looks decent though. In terms of quality alone, I'd probably place it in B tier, but just because of how long it took to generate, I'm gonna have to push it down to C tier. Still, since the quality was okay, I don't want to drop it all the way down to F tier. And now let's look at the rankings. The best 3 overall are Sora 2, Kling 2.5, and Google Veo 3.1. Easily the top for realism and quality. Some models did come pretty close, like Pixverse, Hailuo 2.3, and Veo 3. They all performed really well, but the ones that struggled the most were Kling 1.6, Wan 2.2, and Hailuo Standard. Those are the ones I'd really recommend avoiding altogether. All the models that landed somewhere in the middle are honestly up to you. If you think some of these look better than others, go ahead and test them yourself. But the best part is, with OpenArt, you can test all these models in one place. No need to buy 10 different subscriptions. It's super convenient, and you can easily switch between each generator, compare results, and find the one that fits your style best. If you want to test all the models on your own, just sign up for OpenArt using the link down in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.